So this is for my subscribers, for our subscribers. Thanks for supporting the channel. You know, thanks for the comments and stuff, etc. You know. See, this society was built on us, man. All the banks made their first money off of slavery, man. You know. Liverpool, capital of the transatlantic slave trade. See what it says there. The people of Liverpool, in their indiscriminate rage for commerce and getting money at all events, have nearly engrossed this trade. So Liverpool was a prime place for this slave trade. Okay, it was a major port, and like I said in Negro Question Part 4, that book I've got by Lee Cummins, it tells you that the ship had a cargo already. So when it was going to West Africa, all right, from England, we had wars with them, Edomites, white people in England. We had wars, and when we lost the wars, they put us on boats, like Oliver Cromwell did it to the West Indians, who are the tribe of Benjamin, in Ireland, all right, and Scotland, and deported them. Okay. So you have one cargo of slaves coming from Europe, and then they go to West Africa, load up more slaves, and then dump them in America and the colonies. So some slaves are from Europe, some slaves are from West Africa. Okay.
Mobster.
Valachi.
Joe Valachi.
Yep.
And that was the beginning of the end for the mob. Because that was their power. Their power was secrecy. And it's the same thing with the bankers.
Now you know why he did that, right?
What's that?
You know why he revealed him, right?
Yeah, because they was going to kill him?
Because he was a rat.
Oh, he's a rat. Yeah, Joe Valachi. Yeah, he was a rat. He's a rat. But the point is, that's what their power is, secrecy. So them bankers, that's their power, secrecy. So now that they're coming out and being revealed, they're losing their power. The average so-called American now, they start...
You don't got to take them down. In other words, you don't take them down by getting guns and killing them and all that and locking them up. You expose them. And when you expose them, people move away from that system. They know that they're part of that system, so people come out of that system, so they no longer have any power.
Right.
See, this right here, what we're teaching, is the biggest threat.
Absolutely.
Because we're bringing the truth out. Okay?
That says all the ways of Esau are searched out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Obadiah.
Because you got to search. That's how you know. That's how we know that the white man's Esau, because we searched it out. When you look up the word Edom, and when you look up the word Esau, and a couple of weeks back, I asked her, what does the word Idumea mean? And a lot of y'all didn't know. We went into the Bible dictionary, Esau's book rather, and it said Idumea is the Greek way of saying Edom.
That's right.
See?
Hey, brothers, you know that the wicked can't stem from Cain. The wicked is a so-called white man. And the so-called white man's lineage goes back to Cain. Now, for the wicked to be built up, what did the Lord have to do to Cain? He had to hide him. Remember what is written? If anyone sees me, they're going to destroy me. Right. So to build up Cain, he had to be hidden for a period of time until he was built up. So there's power in being hidden. There's power in secrecy.
And he was destroyed with the flood.
Yep.
But the spirit of Cain came back as Esau. He came back as a Hebrew.
That's why we're living in a time when the wicked once again will be exposed. Now, once the wicked, just like Cain, if Cain would have been exposed, he would have been killed back then. He had to be hidden. So just like now, the wicked is being exposed. So everyone that sees them, we got to destroy them. They're the wicked. That's right. See?
Yeah, he said that anyone that sees me shall kill me. And the Most High put a mark upon him and push him out of that land into the land of Nod, man. You know?
like these brothers are speaking about, the Rothschild family, how we know that that's the head family of Esau? Because it corroborates with the scriptures. Now, Jacob had what, 12 sons, right? Right, the 12 princes, right? Ishmael had 12 sons too. But how many sons did Esau have? If any brothers know, I ain't talking to you, brother. Hey. Exactly. How many sons did my Amsterdam Rothschild have? Say it again, brother.
5 sons.
5 sons. And they were all trained in banking and dealing with money.
Well, Rothschild,
money manipulator.
Rothschild means red child.
That's right. They went to every
Germany,
financial
France,
and they took over the money system in them hot spots.
England.
Yeah, well, Rothschild means red child. Roth in German is red.
Yep.
The red shield.
Red shield.
Red shield.
Red shield, red child.
See, when the so-called white man gets Roth, when he gets angry, he turns red.
Right.
That means peasant. That means peasant. Because that's what they're going to go back to. They're going to go back to being peasants.
So that's not even their, Rothschild's not even their real name. They just took that name because he had a red shield on the front of his banking house. Money, they were called money lenders. All right?
You see that shield?
Which ain't nothing but a bank. Money lenders, man.
The same shield the police hit you with, that's the shield of Rothschild. On the highway, it says interstate.
This right here is Interstate 495, and you have the Rothschild shield up there. If you go on the actual highway part, you know?
So they're going down. They're being revealed. 30, 40 years ago, majority of people didn't know about this, and that was their strength.
20 years ago.
20 years ago, that was their strength that people didn't know. They were being hidden. So now it's coming out. So now they're losing their power. That proves it right there. And there's not a damn thing they can do about it. They can try to pass all the legislation on the internet. They can't stop the internet. That's why Jay Rockefeller.
Cat's out the bag.
The cat's out the bag. The horses are outside the stall.
That's right.
Or the barn. Somebody get me. You got something? After that, somebody hold on deck Psalms 10, and also go to Psalm 64.
Yeah, that's why Jay Rockefeller made the statement the internet should have never been invented. Why? Because the internet is bringing out the truth, brothers. The internet is bringing out the truth. The internet is the unicorn that's gathering the seed into the barn.
You sure about that, brother?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right.
And you know that technology of the internet, right?
And by the way, that's something that Ariel didn't know.
Right.
That's why them guys are attacking me now, because a lot of those guys, those other Israelite groups, what you're going to find out is they're mockingbirds.
That's right.
They learned from the main school in One West, and that's what they're teaching.
Same stuff.
So even when we showed that Ariel went off on certain things, they're still teaching the same thing, because they're and sometimes they'll say, Ariel never taught that. But now I'll come back and say, well, wait a minute, Ariel is teaching that fat Tootsie Roll is a God-sent comforter. Why aren't you with him now? Well, he went off. Oh, but back then he didn't go off? Where we at? Go ahead.
Okay, this is Psalm 64, verse 1. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve
Who's
my
making
life.
that prayer? Is that David?
David.
David. A man after the Most High's own heart. Go ahead.
Preserve my life from fear of the enemy.
Now that's what we're saying. Remember when Polite said he's gonna get the Bloods and the Crips on us?
Right.
Hey, say that prayer. Preserve my life from the enemy.
Yeah.
Now, who were the enemy at this point? They were other Israelites. All right. Hey, what's up, brother? Hey, Chef. What's up? What's up? I'm right in the camp, brother. Yeah. Come on in, brother. Go ahead, Ak.
Verse 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity,
Go ahead.
who whet their tongues like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately.
Because when they shoot at us, they're supposed to fear. Why? Because they know that we're the children of the Most High. They knew it before we knew it.
Oh, yeah.
When they were bringing us from so-called West Africa over here, they knew that they were bringing the Israelites over here. So the elite knows that, man. But here they are coming against us, knowing that we're the children of the Most High.
Oh, that's in Lamentations. this is the day we have seen it. In other words, they look for the downfall of Israel. And they finally saw it in around 1620. And they even called it manifest destiny for the so-called North American Indians, the Gadites. They said, look, we're taking over your land because this is manifest destiny. This is, in other words, this is our time to rule. And your time to be a slave unto us. So they knew. And by the way, brothers, Custer worked for the Rothschilds. Okay? Custer worked for the Rothschilds. On Custer's grave was the symbol of the red shield. So Custer was a direct employee of the Rothschilds. George Armstrong.
Bring it out right now.
Khan, this is this book. It's called The Negro Question Part 4, The Missing Link. And this is page 48. It says, America as a land, it's the title of an essay from Benjamin Franklin. America as a land of opportunity, author Benjamin Franklin. Subject, why increase the sons of Africa in America? Why should the Palatine Moors / Germans be suffered to swarm into our Pennsylvania settlement? They will never adopt our customs any more than they can adopt our complexion. All of Africa, Asia, and America, except for us, are black. Russia, Italy, Spain, France, Swedes, and the Germans are black.
Look at that. Check that out. Yeah. What book is that, brother?
It's called The Negro Question Part 4.
You can get that off.
And
in your
you can get it off of Amazon. And also, too, it got in here where Oliver Cromwell had put the edict. He had sent the edict to push us out of Scotland, Ireland, you know, and he basically threatened us. And he said,
Cromwell was a cracker.
Yeah, he was a Edomite. He was a devil, man.
He was an Edomite devil.
So I was trying to find that.
When you find it, bring it on up.
Cromwell, I believe he was also responsible for putting the Irish on slave ships and sending them to the Caribbean, to Trinidad, to Jamaica, and sending them out to Australia, too. Oliver Cromwell, because you got a lot of so-called Irish or Scots that's in the Caribbean that have been living there in the Caribbean for years. That goes back to this guy Cromwell. They put the Irish on ships and then they sent them into the Caribbean and sent them out to Australia.
Oh yeah, one of those islands is Barbados. There's a video they show so-called white Bajans speak just like the people of Barbados. But they were Israelites, man, but they look like so-called white people because their line went back to Scotland. That's why if you notice, you brothers notice that the Irish, the so-called Irish and the so-called Jamaicans, there's like there's like a kinship. You know, when you see the so-called Jamaicans doing that skank, the Rasta skank, that ain't nothing but an Irish jig.
That's all it is.
Irish jig.
All it is.
They drink Guinness. They drink Guinness just like the so-called Irish drink Guinness. You see the connection?
Right.
And these elites know, they know. But they're not going to tell these average people. These average people are average. Bring it out.
Chola se bhríomh fís na Black Irish in Montserrat. Seo tuairisc ó Rarc.
Unfortunately, it's a bit far to take the wife and family. To be precise, 4,128 miles from Cork, give or take a few. It's on the Emerald Isle, all right, and they'll feel quite at home among its Atlantic beaches, green fields, harps and shamrocks. But the trouble is that this Kinsale is at the wrong side of the Atlantic. It's Kinsale in Montserrat, a West Indian island, the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean, and home of a unique race of people, the Black Irish.
It was under the press ganging of Cromwell that hundreds of people from Cork, Kilkenny and Drogheda were expelled to the West Indies. They would have arrived just as the first importations of African slaves took place. So, both cruelly uprooted from their homes, Irish and African Negro shared a common suffering, a common grievance, and for the most part lived together in peace and common understanding. The home of Mr. and Mrs. Allen is also the local post office. Their soft accents are typical of Montserrat and might easily be confused with the lilt in parts of West Cork.
Now, how did the family come to Montserrat, Mr. Allen?
Well, the Irish people came to Montserrat on account of Cromwell, where he was exiled. We heard they had some fighting there, and the Irish people came and he was inside. So they was sent out of the island. So and we are some of the older descendants.
We have Allens, Daly, Sweeney's, Ryan.
They're all related to you, are they?
They are all one relation.
There's a spot in me heart which no Colleen may own. There's a depth in me soul never sounded unknown. Sure I love the dear silver that shines in your hair, and the brow that's all furrowed and wrinkled with care. I kiss the dear fingers so toil-worn for me. Oh, God bless you and keep you, Mother McCree.
Back in the Negro question, part 4, missing link, page 26. I'll start at the top. It says, Oliver Cromwell was Lord Protector of the Commonwealth of England, Ireland, and Scotland. After the assassination of Scottish/English King Charles I, upon taking military command of the Commonwealth, he invaded Ireland, and history states that he committed genocide in the Ireland against the black population. The black Irish that he didn't kill, he sold into the slave trade. In 1641, Cromwell had 300,000 black Irish sold into the North Atlantic slave trade. And in 1650, he had 100,000 Irish/Scottish children sold into Barbados. There is an interesting law that Cromwell had published, and it read, Oliver Cromwell Edict, 1653. Those who fail to transplant themselves to Connaught or Clare within 6 months shall be guilty of high treason. You will then be sent into America or some other part beyond the sea. The Royal African Company sent 249 ships to the West Indies, sending 60,000 African and Irish into the Americas and West Indies. Make no mistake about it. It is these people are here in this colony with us. America is a huge colony spread over 50 states, and we have all been mingled together. I have a greater witness than this. And basically, you know how they like to say that we all came from Africa and we came from West Africa. A portion of our people came from West Africa that didn't leave and go into Ireland, Spain, England, all those areas, right? So we was ruling that area. King James, that was our people, man. And so what ended up happening was when they killed King Charles I, they was taking over. The Englishmen are the white people. And so they took over, they pushed us out of there, and he put this edict up. They was trying to get us to go to Connaught and get out of our homeland. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, man, That's
right. Now see what he's reading out of. Back at One West, we used to go into a lot of these different books. The Shire mainly pushed a lot of that stuff, but that's all that history, man. That's all that different history books, man. Different time periods. You know? Give me Joel 3 and 6.
Also, he read prophecy. The Lord said that he would scatter the children of Israel. That's how he scattered them, through slavery.
I got it out.
Okay?
Go ahead and read it. Go ahead and read it.
Joel chapter 3, verse 6. The children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have he sold unto the Grecians, that he might remove them far from their border.
You know what? Start from the very beginning.
All right. Joel 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem,
go ahead.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold the girl for wine that they might drink.
That's that slave, the so-called Negro slave trade. Go ahead.
Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and nor the coast of Palestine?
Tyre and Zidon, going back into history, was the Canaanites, all right? And you had the Philistines that had that part of the land too. That's why when you go into the history, David and Israel fighting against the Philistines, because the Philistines, which goes back to Mizraim, all right, they had part of Canaan. Because they had pushed the real Canaanites out So these Philistines came up in here. That's why that place is called Palestine today. When you look up the word Palestine, the Palestinians, they'll tell you in Google, or if you go to like etymology.com, they'll tell you that that word goes back to the Philistines. You look up the word the Philistines, it'll take you back to Philistim, which are one of the sons of Mizraim. That's why they were known for their height, man. Okay? Like I said, when you read certain words that you don't understand, just go to Google.
Now these are again, that's the hot what's it called, elephant tusk drinking horn. It's more like a chauffeur basically. That's how it shows we're Israelites, all right? Now this is the company of Royal African Adventures. Ship bowl, ivory trade token, you know, traded in the what? Traded in sugar from Jamaica, contemporary builders, William Art Gallery, Museum of Birkenhead, Wirral, etc. What's this about? It's talking about the Middle Passage, right? Let's see. See what it says here. This is important, man. Middle Passage voyages. Conditions on the ships were horrific. Journeys took 5 weeks or more, and the enslaved Africans, and we're not Africans, we're Israelites, were held in cramped, airless spaces below decks. And food and water was limited, with no fresh provisions. So it was a cruise ship, that's for sure.
We want to go to this African statement, where I have this African confession on tape that he know we are two different manner of people. We're talking about the seed of Ham, and that they sold us into captivity, and that they was cutting our ancestors' heads off, okay, and that they was eating, okay, the heads, because they were a bunch of heathens. Just like it says in Jeremiah the 10th chapter, follow not the ways of the heathens, and how he specifically distinguished that he come from a different bloodline, a different ethnic origin from the so-called Afro-American, Jamaican, Haitian, Puerto Rican, Panamanian, Cubans, Mexicans, okay, so on and so forth, and the so-called black, brown-skinned Native American Indians, okay, and all the brothers and sisters in the shanty towns of North, Central, and South America of so-called Negroid descent.
The problem is, you Israelites, you black people in this country, what do you say about them? You call them animals or something?
I call them inferior. I call you slaves. We turn you into slaves, and when we didn't need it no more, we kick you out of Israel, and out of Egypt and out of Africa. We sold you to America, and that's where we want you to stay, and we don't want you back in Africa again.
Now, you black people in this country, it's time for you to wake up and realize that this stink shit, this stink doo-doo eating African does not care about you. He's not your people. He hates you, and that's why he sold you out of Africa. And you admit that, right? You're admitting that today on 42nd.
The white man is not a devil. We sold you to the white man.
Right.
If we had sold you to our devil, you would not be alive today.
Now let's get back. You did.
We don't want you to die yet, so we didn't
Didn't
take the devil.
Africans chop our heads off in slavery and all that and sacrifice it to your God?
We ate it. What do you mean sacrifice it?
Say it again?
We ate the goddamn heads when we chopped them off. We didn't sacrifice you.
We used to eat your assholes over there in Africa. Yeah. Before you forgot that we used to eat the men over there. Before you sold us to America. And then when we got fed up of your flesh, that it was no good anymore, and we thought it was unclean, we decided to sold you into slavery to get rid of you. In case you multiply and subdue the earth over there.
Okay, now, but let's get back to the point, because you're trying to get away from it. Why wasn't he able to stop the hand of the Lord, the Israelite God, the God of Israel, from delivering his people from such a powerful, mighty nation? How come your God didn't do that? Let me tell you. How come he didn't stand up for Pharaoh and save Pharaoh's army from being drowned in the Red Sea? We said, get your assholes, you Israelites, out of your goddamn country and take your God with you. And we don't want to see a box of you anymore. That's a lie. You were forced to let go the children of Israel. No matter how we were, it doesn't matter. We were glad to see your house. I know you was glad. You was glad because you was getting your asses kicked. And you came back. You was glad. You were glad because you was getting your asses kicked. No, when you came back, we decided to sell you. You was glad. You know what? When they came back, when you came back to Africa, we sent you to slaves. You was getting your asses kicked. That's why. Okay, now listen. We were beating your assholes with whip and turning to slaves. How could we get our asses kicked? We were beating your assholes with whip. Yeah? I'm making you burden, making you carry, making you into slaves. We were whipping your asses every day. Right, but you know what? Okay, right. He said that the problem is you Israelites, you black people in this country. What do you say about them? You call them animals or something? I call them inferior. I call you slaves. We turn you into slaves, and when we didn't need you no more, we kick you out of Israel, out of Egypt and out of Africa. We sold you to America, and that's where we want you to stay, and we don't want you back in Africa again.
This is some of them. There were 351 enslaved African men on the books. So it's talking about the morality. See what it says about this. Talking about the middle passage. Disease, brutality, and suicide led to between 1/4 and 1/10 of enslaved Africans dying in the middle passage. Turn the block and find out how many died on 3 Liverpool voyages. The food carried on the slave ships was limited. So they'll make us eat twice a day, breakfast, mid-morning, and another late meal. So they used to feed us twice a day instead of 3 times a day. See? You can turn these things around. It's got different messages. Really good, really good museum. And you got this. It's like a touchscreen thing. Wow, this is amazing. Look at this. This basically shows you the different voyages, you know. Now the Hispanics, and I did that in the Northern Kingdom. Israel is here, right? So they were taken by the Assyrians into the Middle East here, but then they came out after they served slavery out of the river Euphrates around the Horn of Africa up into another land where no mankind dwelt. So that's how the Northern Kingdom, the Hispanics, Native Americans, got to North, Central, and South America. Okay, but look at these voyages, man. So many of them. Let's see it. So you can press on each one, and it gives you more information. Tres Amigos made 4 voyages to Africa from Bahia in Brazil in just over 12 months, beginning in 1846. She carried a total of 3,113 Africans, of whom 2,815 survived the voyages. So over 1,000 people, you got 3,000 people on the boats and 1,000 perished, 2,000 lived. So it was a high mortality rate, man. No? Let's see now. Now, if you go here, it says number of enslaved Africans. Really, it should say Israelites. 1807 to 16. It's got these different dates. Let's press this. And it shows you the countries that were involved in slavery in that period, 1501 to 1600s. Right? West Africa. So that's where a lot of our people are from, West Africa. Like Sierra Leone, that's where my parents are from. So you had 270,000 Israelites from West Africa from the 1501 to 1600. So that was basically 100 years. In 100 years, 250,000 of our people were enslaved from West Africa. Okay. Main countries involved, look. Main countries involved. Shows you all the countries that were involved in the slave trade. Brazil, Cuba, United States, Britain, Denmark, Netherlands, France, Spain, Portugal. Let's look at Britain. Alright, let's see what it says. Britain was a major participant in the slave trade from the 1650s until 1807. She was the leading slave trade nation during the period of 1700s to 1800s. Overall, British ships were responsible for 28% of slave trade. 28% of our people, the Israelites, were enslaved by Great Britain. So they got a lot to pay for, man. I can close that. Let's click on United States, which is called Babylon the Great in America. Revelations 11 and 8, I think. Okay. Let's touch America, see what happens. Okay, this is where the majority of our people are. United States. American merchants were involved in the slave trade as both a British colony and as an independent state. US-based ships also traded illegally between 1808 and 1860. Overall, the United States was responsible for about 3% of the trade and about 300,000 Africans. 300,000, which is Israelites, okay? So America had a huge part to play in the slave trade. Let's go back to the countries. Let's see, Portugal. Now that's how you got the name Sierra Leone. I think the Portuguese named it Sierra Leone, which means roaring lion, basically. Portugal was an empire in Brazil, was the largest slave trade nation, responsible for 45% of the slave trade or more than 4 centuries. So about 5 million people were enslaved by the Portuguese. Okay? So, close that. Other countries, Cuba. the Spanish colony of Cuba was directly involved in slave trading, mainly during the period of 1820 to 1860, when many European nations had begun to introduce legislation to abolish it. Overall, Spain was responsible for about 5% of the slave trade. See, so this is a nation, this is a collaboration, man. That's why Psalms 83 says they've taken crafty counsel. And this is, look, all these nations came together to enslave us, look. Loads of them, man. Let's look up France. You've got a lot of Israelites in France, Ivorians, Senegalese. They're Israelites, okay? France only became a major participant after 1713 and was then active until the French Revolution, and ensuing wars disrupted the trade in the 1790s. Some French ships traded illegally in the 1820s and 30s. Although France was responsible for 13% of the slave trade, 1.5 million Israelites. So they all profited, man. They all profited off us, you know. Denmark, I've never really heard about Denmark being involved, but let's see what it says about Denmark. Denmark became involved in slaving in the 1670s and was most active during the period of 1750 to 1803, when she became the first country to abolish the trade permanently. Overall, Danish and Scandinavian merchants were responsible for 1%. So they didn't have a major role, but they had 100,000 Israelites as slaves, man. And this gets on my nerves. They keep calling us Africans, and we're not Africans, man. See, it's showing you all the trade routes, man. Look at that. See that? Now, Biafra, those are the Igbos, alright? They're the Igbos. Benin is South Nigeria. Gold Coast is where Ghana is. Our empire was all... Sierra Leone. See that? It's my parents' country, which means roaring lion or lion mountain. Okay? And they got to pay for this, man. Got to pay for this. You know? It's history, man. It's history, and it's history we got to learn, you know? I see on this one.
Is this it?
This is a good model here. It's the model of how a ship will look like. So we'll be down there. See that? Down there, no room to breathe. Shitting, pissing on each other. Terrible, man. No toilet. It wasn't a cruise ship, you know. A terrible journey, man. I think it would take between 6 to 8 weeks. So you'll be in this boat for like 2 months.
Because they were coming for a larger purpose. They wanted to take the human resource from the African continent, which was us, the most valuable resource on the African continent, and they had some plans to build their own civilizations and use the wealth of our knowledge and understanding to do it. So they would strip us from our families and strip us naked and take us to these dungeons where they would pack us in like sardines in the dungeons first, starve us half to death so we would become weak and we could barely fight. And then they would force us to get up and they would put us on the water on these prisons on the ocean called slave ships. The first one was called the Good Ship Jesus, captained by Sir John Hawkins. First slave ship they put our ancestors on. And they would always have a white Catholic priest standing there and said, God has ordained now that you are to be the slave of the white race for eternity. Jesus Christ is your new God. And you will love him and you will obey him. And they said, remember this and don't forget it, because if you do, you could die. You no longer have a history. You no longer have a culture. You no longer have an identity. You didn't have a mother. You don't have a language. You are, always will be a nigger. That's your new identity. You're going to call yourself that. You're going to call your children that. You're going to answer to that. You're going to bow to that. That is who you are, who you will be. You will not have an identity because you have no self-respect. You are a nigger. You will repeat that. You will answer to it. You will carry that for eternity. That's all you'll ever be, is a servant to white interests and your new God, Jesus Christ. And I, as a white, am a representative of your new God. Do you know your new name? And so many of our ancestors didn't understand, but they was resisting that because they said, no, I got a language. I have a history. I have pride. No, you're not going to strip my identity from me. They might not have known why they were trying to steal the identity, but some just refused to die. And so we would struggle and fight. We would continue to use our language when they weren't looking. We would continue to remember our customs. Some of our ancestors put the watermelon seeds in their mouth when they were leaving because they said, I want to have something that reminds me of home when I leave. I'm an African. I'm a God. I'm a Shanti. I know who I am. They won't take me from me. So I'm going to remember however I can. The sisters will remember the songs they sang when they were in Africa. And during the course of this 250-year period, they killed so many of our ancestors. I mean, imagine they make us just throw our ancestors overboard. They killed so many millions of our ancestors that the Atlantic shark stopped hunting for food in the ocean. And they started traveling on a new migration pattern that they follow to this very day because they could follow the slave ships and they knew that there would be fresh meat for them to eat. They stopped hunting in the ocean, the sharks.
That's right.
Because our ancestors became their most enjoyed meal. Some of our people said, you will not take my identity. In fact, it became such a revolutionary process. Some of our people said, I'd rather jump over and die, take my babies with me. Sometimes all groups would just jump over and say, I'd rather die than lose my identity and have no respect and be a slave and a servant to you.
That's right.
And so they said, no, I'm going to beat this out of you. Because we were rebellious. We didn't want it. They said, what's your name? And that black man would say, my name, I'm an Ashanti. He said, you are a nigger. And they would take that whip and they would rip through the back of the brother. He said, I'm God. I'm Wolof. You'll never change me. And many of our ancestors died fighting, never giving up their identity, never accepting anything less than being proud, productive African people, the beginning of civilization. But see, they would rip through the backs of our ancestors saying, I will make you submit to a new identity because unless I strip your self-respect from you and you can answer to a new identity, I can't do what I intend to do, so I'm going to break you. Some of us didn't break. A lot of us broke. This was serious. I know it's hard to imagine, but some brothers were so revolutionary, they said, man, I will starve myself. I will kill myself before I let you take my identity and make me something you want me to be. So the whites would say, no, you got to eat boy, because I got something for you on the other side. So they would take a hammer and bang the teeth out of our ancestors and shove a muzzle in their mouth and shove slop down the throat. This is how we got here. This is what happened.
Speak on it.
It wasn't no easy way to get here.
Speak on it.
And so then we were fighting the whole way. Don't ever let nobody tell you we didn't fight. We fought all the time, the entire process, the whole way we fought.
That's right.
So sometimes they say, you know what, they're getting too rebellious. They would tie us together, 10, 15, 20 at a time, sometimes 40 or more, and then weight rocks down. And if the sharks weren't so full from eating our ancestors, of course, they would just attack and eat us right when we went in the water. But sometimes they were so full from eating, they couldn't even eat. So one by one, tied together, weighted down with rocks, our ancestors would just sink into the ocean. And even though we don't know what's at the bottom of the ocean, one thing we can guarantee ourselves is that our ancestors' DNA is there. But you see, that was just the first part of this trip. Because once they got us on shore, now the real dehumanization process begins, because now they strip us naked, men, women, and children. And now, you know what I'm talking about. They had to auction us off, you know, but they had to make us look good. So they would take pig lard and shine our bodies up like brothers do with their Cadillac to get it nice and shiny, because Europeans were coming to this market to buy our ancestors.
That's right.
And so we had no right to protect our own selves, and these Europeans would come to buy us like cows or sheep, to work forever, work until they killed us on their plantations, work us to death in many cases, if we were lucky. Because not all of us made it to the slave plantations. There was another place where the feminization of the black male became really deep and penetrating. It was called the sex farm. And this is the area where the black man had everything that made him a man stripped from him. His job is to protect his black women and children. But now he has been stripped of that, and now he's been trained to be the salesman of the sexual exploits of our people. And so rich whites would go to the sex farms, and they would get these black males who they stripped their manhood. He won't kill for his women. He won't die for his race if necessary. He now is the sexual salesman of his own women. And he says, come on, let me show you what we got. Do you like her? Today we call it pimping. But he was forced out of the process of manhood to say, look, here my women are available for you. Let me show you this one. You want to take her in the back and try her out? Let me show you this one. Oh, you can't touch her. She's never been as much as kissed. The price on her, I don't think you got pockets that deep. He became the actual salesperson, which means everything that made him a man had been stripped from him. He was a male who took pride in the sexual exploitation of the very people his manhood demands that he protect. This is a process that they put our people through. But you know, these Europeans can be very freakish. So grown females was one price, but they really liked the little young girls, 5 to 15 years old. And they would train a black male. They would pay him. And in exchange for these nice clothes and economic benefit, he would train these little young girls to dance and gyrate before the world and present themselves as sexually tantalating to these grown white males who could then buy them and take them home as sexual slaves, or could take them in the back and have their way with these little girls.
Speak on it.
Can you imagine black men being reduced to such a level? And I want y'all to see this because it's important to understand. Imagine in your mind being so reduced as a man that you actually take pride in receiving gifts and economic benefits from the exploitation of your own women.
Speak on it.
Can you imagine a time where we were so effeminized and so backwards that we would become the salesman of our own daughters? that we would take our daughters and say, hey, I want you to look sexual to the world.
Speak on it.
I'm supposed to be a father that protects, but no, that's not what I am anymore. I don't have nothing that marks manhood. Come on, little girl, let me show you how to present yourself to the world as a sexual object so that I can have some benefit. Can you imagine us watching our daughters do this before the world? Even training them to do this.
Speak on it, God.
Slavery was a horrible day. Even it got to the point where we would do it so long, we would literally be out there with our daughters showing them how to act feminine. So we become feminine and demonstrating it.
Speak on it.
Teaching them so long, we would even teach the women that we were dealing with when they became women. And at some point, it got to the point where we taught our women to desecrate themselves, and then they began to teach our daughters.
Speak on it.
This was called slavery.
That's right.
I don't know if you remember that process,
right.
but it was a horrible process. I don't know how much you know about it. But remember, the European didn't like females at all. He always wanted to reach his highest and noblest aspirations. And that was always to be with a little boy. And so the Europeans would have a room where the white male would train the little boys in oral sex and anal sex. And they would train them. They would shine them up like females. They would put earrings on them and put them in dresses. Put makeup on them and let them wear fluorescent colored clothing. And the white males would come. They had to have a lot of money. This was a special. You had to have money for this. And they would come and buy our sons and take them home as their sexual playgrounds.
That's right.
I mean, they would just purchase them, our sons, as their daughters, their sexual play toys, to take them home and keep them in the privacy of their own white homes. Slavery was a horrible process where the black male was actually transformed and effeminized so much that we were forced to support
That's right.
a process that turned black boys into objects of homosexual desire. I want you to understand, they even have what they call breeding farms. On the breeding farms, black males, big brothers, well-endowed brothers, young girl, 12 years old, just get her first period. Whites would travel hundreds of miles down here in Virginia, Southern Maryland, Tennessee. They were all around the country. And they bring the little girl there for him to rape. Some of the whites didn't want to breed from a professional breeding fee to get a black male to be trained to rape the little girl, so they would do it on their own plantations. Sometimes brothers would be forced to do this 10, 15, 20 years sometimes, impregnating all the females. Eventually, after 12 or 13 years, they bring his daughter in there. He raped her. Now he has a daughter, and his daughter and his granddaughter are the same person. 250 years of this, brother. Says there ain't no one day.
That's right.
So we wonder where incest comes from. We wonder where these freaks in our family came from. These pedophiles and the retardation, as the brother said, of the African male spirit to protect and defend, turning upside down and becoming an assaulter, a victimizer of his own helpless, innocent race. But I want you to understand something, because it's important. For over 250 years, white law mandated that you must be a pedophile. It wasn't a question of your opinion of it. The law in this country said you were black, you were a slave, you must do as your white slave master says, and if you don't, you will be killed. You had no option. The law said you must be incestuous.
That's right.
You must be a homosexual.
And the church
you don't have an option. Homosexuality is your life. And if you fought it and tried to resist it, you would be killed.
That's right.
So don't let nobody tell you that homosexuality's been around forever. You've been around, it's been around for white folks since they've been here.
That's right.
But we have proof. Our reality is proof that you had hundreds of years of laws mandating our complicity with child sexual abuse, incest, rape, homosexuality and every filthy, degenerate practice you brought with your filthy behind from Europe.
That's right.
And you forced us into this. And we started opening our minds and seeing what's going on. We realized yesterday ain't that much different than today. Dr. John Henry Clark said the people who forget their past be destined to repeat those mistakes of the past. So I want to talk about this because I want to be very clear how this thing works. In order to enslave our people and put us through what they put us through, there was one thing that was critical. Because without this, they knew that they would have to pay a definitive price of their lives. So in order to get us in this condition and avoid the penalty for their crimes, they had to create the surrender of black manhood. They had to force us as men to surrender our manhood. And so in the modern context, I want you to understand, the process hasn't changed. First stage in the process, you must stop having self-respect. In order to put a race through this, you must forget your identity or ignore your real identity and accept a new one.
What is it, a local school?
No, from Preston.
Oh, Preston, okay, Preston Office. So you got schools here, learning about it, which is good. When I was in school, they didn't teach us anything about this.
There it is. It's a limb of a tree, 2 prongs.
What is written on this
See that little boat there? And when they had like people that were dead, they'll just throw them. The sharks used to follow the ships because they knew they were going to get a good meal. Sharks always follow the ships. People were dying, or some people, like Amistad, you watch Amistad, you had a woman that had a child,
This is this yolk.
and she had the child. She took her child and went into the water. She'd rather die and drown than be on that ship, man. I'm trying to zoom in closer.
You're making a documentary?
Yeah, you're gonna put it on YouTube?
Alright,
Yeah, so other people can learn and stuff, you know? Yeah? See, so look at that. That's where we were. That's the top deck. Right? And rapes would go on. They were raping the women. Little boys were raped. Look at that.
Do you know what it'd be called?
Oh, I'm not sure I'm going to pull it now. I'm not sure yet. I have to find a title. But what do you think I should call it? If I say slave trade history, that's too broad, you know. Maybe I'll put it Liverpool. What's this museum called? Maritime Museum, right?
Yeah.
Maritime. Slavery Museum. Okay. Slavery Museum Review.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 days time, just put it on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll do it. So that's what I'm gonna title the documentary when I finish it.
Yeah.
What's it called? Slave Trade Review. Slave Trade History Review.
Yeah, see, look, see?
See, look. You had cargo at the bottom as well, look. Remember, they were giving us for whiskey and musket guns and all this kind of stuff. You know?
Pushes you along.
And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah.
Now again, Deuteronomy 28:48. You shall have a yoke of iron upon thy neck. That's the yoke of iron, man. That's what they used to put around your neck. Sometimes they'll put it around your mouth. You know, muzzle you like a dog, man. You know? See, look at that. There's a change. There's the yoke of iron, man. This is the kind of things that you Jakes, you Israelites need to see, man. Because then you'll be thankful for what you've got now. you know, moaning about money and all that kind of stuff. These people had nothing, man. They were totally powerless, man. You know? And look at these instruments that they were using us. There was no anesthetic in that day. You know? They would force you. They would pull your teeth out. If you didn't want to eat, like in that, what's it called? Uncle Tom? Uncle Tom's, Goodbye Uncle Tom? That film where the slave didn't want to eat. They put a funnel down his mouth and shove porridge down his mouth. Because he's cargo, man. And your cargo needs to live so you can sell them, you know? And they know that we saw pork as unclean. They gave us pork. Like Kunta Kinte, that's why in that film, Kunta Kinte, he wouldn't eat the pork. Because a lot of our people converted to Islam, you know? Life on board the ship for Africans. I imagine there can be but one place more horrible in all creation than the hold of a slave ship. And that place is where slave holders are most likely to find themselves one day. See that? Sometimes we'll have rebellions and mutiny on the ships, like in Amistad, you know. I think Amistad there was a rebellion on the ship. One guy got caught, one guy got shot, and then the guy had to take the woman's body and just throw it overboard, man. You know? If you have a dog or a cat and it dies, some people do a little funeral for it, say a prayer. When we were dying, there was none of that. Just dump him in the river, man. Dump him in the sea. You know? And this is Esau's weapon, the Edomites. That's their blessing, man. The sword. All right, that's in Genesis, I think. 25 and 27. Around about that. And look, what's that? Isaac said to Esau, by thy sword thou shalt live. The modern day sword is the gun. All right? So when they came over to America, when the Gadites, the North American Indians, killed a lot of the, when they killed a lot of the Edomites, you know, the US cavalry, they would take their guns. And back then, the Gadites, the North American Indians, didn't know nothing about guns, so they learned about it, and they used it against them. But then that's why the Edomites, the white man, he created something called a Gatling gun, where you didn't have to reload it, you know?
Against those who happen to be well off. What do you make of that argument?
Well, it's not envy, it's war. It is a class war, and it's a war that has been perpetrated by the rich on to everybody else. I mean, the class war is one they started. The mistake they've made, to deal with the racial part of this, is their boot has been on the necks of people of color since we began. This is a nation founded on genocide and built on the backs of slaves. All right? So we started with a racial problem. We tried to actually eliminate one entire race, and then we used another race to build this country actually quite quickly as a new country into a world power. This country never would have had the wealth that it had it not had slavery for a couple of hundred years. If it had had to pay people, they actually had to pay people to build America. You know, we might just be at that point in Utah where we're joining the two rails together, maybe at this point right now.
The Indians formerly subsisted on game, fish, acorns, etc. But it is now impossible for them to make a living by hunting or fishing, for nearly all the game has been driven from the mining region, or has been killed by the thousands of our people who now occupy the once quiet home of these children of the forest. Edward A. Stevenson,
Near the crowded goldfields, Indians found it harder and harder to find food. Some began to steal. The miners despised them all as diggers. One California law made it legal to declare any jobless Indian a vagrant, then auction his services off for up to 4 months. And it permitted whites to force Indian children to work for them until they were 18, provided the permission of what the law called a friend was obtained first. Whites hunted down adult Indians in the mountains, kidnapped their children, and sold them as apprentices for as little as $50. If ever an Indian was fully and honestly paid for his labor, one white settler said, it was not my luck to hear of it. Indians could not complain in court because by another California statute, no Indian or black or mulatto person was permitted to give evidence in favor of or against a white person.
The miners are sometimes guilty of the most brutal acts with the Indians. Such incidents have fallen under my notice that would make humanity weep and men disown their race. William Swain.
We hope that the government will render such aid as will enable the citizens of the North to carry on a war of extermination until the last redskin of these tribes has been killed. Extermination is no longer a question of time. The time has arrived. The work has commenced. And let the first man that says treaty or peace be regarded as a traitor. Eureka Herald, 1853.
Indians continued to die from diseases the white man had inadvertently introduced among them. But now, thousands more were being killed deliberately.
The bold volunteers crept on them before day and killed about 9 men, the balance escaping. The women and children remained, trusting that an American would not murder women and children. In this they were mistaken. The Americans searched around among the haystacks with a hatchet and split the children's heads open. In this way, there were over 40 women and children butchered.
The towns of Marysville and Honey Lake paid bounties for Indian scalps. Shasta City offered $5 for every Indian head brought to City Hall. And California's state treasury reimbursed many of the local governments for their expenses.
It was of no unfrequent occurrence for an Indian to be shot down in cold blood, or a squaw to be raped by some brute. Such a thing as a white man being punished for outraging an Indian was unheard of. It was the fable of the wolf and the lamb every time. General George Crook.
There were some 150,000 Indians in California before the 49ers came. By 1870, there would be fewer than 30,000. It was the worst slaughter of Indian peoples in United States history.
All right, go ahead, brother. Well, brother, you know, it's back to, you know, we got to, you know, put the call out again to our people. You know, it's too late for, you know, a lot of what I'm hearing. I hear that shit on the internet. I don't even pay it no attention because there are many of our people out here that want to know. And that's where we got to go. A lot of these niggas, because that's what they is, they're not going to make it. And matter of fact, we don't even, you know, honestly, I don't even want them to make it. Because we cannot carry all these people into the new Africa. A lot of these people have the type of, you know, the spirit of the white man, and if they came in, they wouldn't do nothing but destroy what we trying to establish anyway. They ruin. Okay, a lot of you niggas want to love them. I don't. You know, a lot of them not going to make it. We running, these niggas are tail. Soon as they get caught, niggas was going that way. Tell on our people. You know what I'm saying? And so we don't want all this. We need a racial cleansing. And that what we listening to is scary, but it's true. And so, I mean, Hitler is a good example. We're going to have to do with a lot of these niggas what Hitler did to them Jews. We need to put these niggas in some goddamn oven and get rid of them. I'm telling you what it is. And until you got, just like Malcolm was teaching us about the Chinese Revolution. Because they had one little Chinese on the cover of Time magazine. She was putting the heat to her daddy head because he was a Tom. And so that's what's going to have to happen. They knew that they had to cut that cancer up out of the people. Because this cracker has put a program, and it's a vicious program. Willie Lynch is a bad bitch. I'm telling you straight up. He's the greatest cracker that ever lived. You understand what I'm saying? He the one that put that program, and he said it would work for 1,000 years. Except a great phenomenon was to come along and undo it. What you think that's going to be? He beat our people into this. Brutality, hangings and lynchings. He beat our people into this. You ain't going to be able to talk to these people. Just talk to them. You know, because that's why we can't really get no movement going on. Because it's so ingrained down even into our DNA that, you know, it's going to take something massive, just as massive of his program of slavery and white supremacy. On the opposite side of that is going to have to be a massive program that we put down. And it's going to have to be just as vigorous. It's going to, in many respects, it's going to have to be just as brutal. It's going to have to be just as brutal. And I know our people, we love our people, but at the end of the day, if we don't do it, we all going to die in America. We're going to die.
Most definitely. Now, you mentioned Underground Railroad earlier.
Yes, sir.
Now, is it not true that our great warrior queen, Harriet Tubman, had to kill her own husband?
Had to kill her own husband.
Why?
Because the nigga was going to tell.
There you go.
Bottom line.
There you go.
He was going to tell.
And that's the thing that people got to understand. This ain't about, oh, that's my brother, that's my sister. That don't even matter. That's my son, that's my daughter. That don't matter either. Any one person that gets in the way of us being totally free got to go. If it's your mama. See, that's why Malcolm said you better be careful when you talk about revolution. Mm-hmm. You got to know what it is. Mm-hmm. Ain't no one person bigger than us getting free. I don't give a damn who it is.
That's right.
If my mama's a problem, mama, you got to go.
Got to go.
I got to release you. Maybe you'll come back later when you're reincarnated and you'll be better than you are now. But right now, you in the way. You got to go. It's just that damn simple. Right. Period.
Right.
No one person is bigger than us getting free.
That's right.
If you in the way, got to run your ass over. It's just that damn simple. I don't care if it's my wife. I don't care. Is she listening? I don't care if it's my son, my daughter. They listening. I don't give a damn who it is. I don't care. If I get in the way, you got to take me out, said it. It's just that goddamn simple.
Simple as that. And
that's revolution.
Indeed. And that type of regiment, brothers and sisters is more willing to work because they know we real.
Right.
we have another archaeology book by Time Life magazine. And from this particular archaeology book, we have a man by the name, a picture of a man by the name of Adolf Hitler, where the media, the scholars portray him as a madman. But Adolf Hitler was not a madman. He knew what he was talking about. Most of his speech were in German. He knew exactly what he was talking about. And he knows the records of the real Germans. The original Germans, which means genuine Jews, noble people. He knew that they were black. He knew. Now, this is the front cover of the archaeological record put together by Time Life Books. So you can see the title of this particular book called The Nazis, World War II. Let me turn it right. Here it is. The Nazis. The Nazis, World War II. As you can see, here's the picture again of Adolf Hitler. Now what we will do, as the camera's still rolling, is go in front of the page. Go down to here. We are at the front of the page. Now this particular archaeology book was put together by Robert Edwin Hertzstein. If I'm not mistaken, from the last name, it seems like a so-called Jew to me. The editors of Time Life Books, the Nazis. And Time Life Books is a major publishing company. Let's see what Time Life Books says concerning the Jews. On page 132, in the archaeology book titled The Nazis, World War II, the scholars have put together records of the things that Adolf Hitler was doing. Now what you're seeing here is Adolf Hitler, right here. And the scene here is a theater. Adolf Hitler showing documentary films. And the man next to him is his right-hand man. And we will read the caption at the bottom. Adolf Hitler and the rest of his comrades showing documentary films. Now let's see what happened. The man that we have just saw, his name is Goebbels, and Hitler personally appraised a new German movie when the Fuhrer complained that films exposing the Nazi line were too scarce. Goebbels rushed a pair of anti-Semitic pictures into the production. Let's go down. In one segment of the Nazi instructional film, right, the genetic heritage of the Jews is purportedly traced to the Oriental. Why would he say some things like that? Because the original Chinese Orientals were black Hebrew Israelites. We have records on that, and we will share that with our brothers and sisters later on. And the taping. Negro. That covers the Negroes throughout North, Central, and South America. Near Asian. Code, all these words are code for Israelites. Keep going. Hermetic people. Now, we're not Hermetic, we are Shemitic. The blacks over here in America, throughout North, Central, and South America, are Shemitic. We're not Hermetic. We did not descend from Ham. We are descended of Shem. Go on. Yes, the film concludes, the Jews today is a bastard. Should we stop? So did Adolf Hitler know who the real Jews were? Yes, he did. He was showing documentary films, showing the original ethnicity, genealogy of the real Jews, that they're black. And the ones that were following, he called them bastards. The so-called white people that were following a black religion. Did they call that what? Judaism?
Ausgerechnet dieser Abraham, Isaak und Jakob galten als Träger einer besonders hohen Moral und als Idealbilder edelsten Menschentums. Wir haben inzwischen sehen gelernt und wissen jetzt, dass die Hebräer der biblischen Geschichte so nicht ausgesehen haben können. Wir müssen unser Geschichtsbild korrigieren.
Read on. In one segment of a Nazi instructional film, the genetic heritage of the Jew is purportedly traced.
Okay, so he got a slide here of this is what is on the film right here. This is what's on the film. Okay? This is what in one of these films. Tell them what you saw.
Trace to Oriental.
Trace to Oriental. Okay? This is an anti-Semitic film. Trace to Oriental. That's code word for black. You understand? The first people that ran over into the far east was the black man. You understand? The Hebrews was over there as well. Okay? Oriental. So this film said the genetic heritage of the Jew. This is taught by Adolf Hitler and the Germans who were getting rid of the so-called Jewish people. He's saying that they were Oriental, read on, Negro, they were Negroes. Adolf Hitler said that the Jews were black. That's right. Read on.
Ausgerechnet dieser Abraham, Isaak und Jakob galten als Träger einer besonders hohen Moral und als Idealbilder edelsten Menschentums. Wir haben inzwischen sehen gelernt und wissen jetzt, dass die Hebräer der biblischen Geschichte so nicht ausgesehen haben können. Wir müssen unser Geschichtsbild korrigieren.
Saying that the white man calling himself Jewish is not white. That's what he's saying. But he's black. But he's black. Let me show you these pictures. Anything else he said?
Hence the film concludes. The Jew is a bastard.
Hence the film, the anti-Semitic film that Adolf Hitler put out said that the Jew, the white man calling himself Jewish, is a bastard. He's a bastard. This is what was in this anti-Semitic propaganda film put out by Adolf Hitler. That's what he was saying, that the Jews are black. He burnt them daggone Jewish people in ovens because they wanted to be black. You understand? So he gave it to them. He gave it to them. Okay? Any more on that? The Jew is a bastard. The film concludes that the Jew is a bastard. Now come and look at the archaeology. This is an old film made by Adolf Hitler and his people. Let me show you this thing right here. Look at that picture right there. Come on up here and look at this picture of what Adolf Hitler said the Jews look like. He got pictures in here. Orientalist. That look like a black man to me. That's code word. Yeah. They got a museum called the Oriental Museum, and all they got is Israelite artifacts in the damn thing. That's code word. That's code word. You see this one right here? This one says nigger, right? That one says nigger. Then this one right here is supposed to be the Near Asian. Those is artifacts that you see on the walls in all kinds of icons that show that the original Jews were black. And then it says Hamitic right there, meaning that he's showing the face of a black man, that the Jews were black. That's what Adolf Hitler said to the so-called white man calling himself Jewish. And he called...
Verschwommenes Dogma von Menschengleichheit hatte den gesunden Instinkt des Volkes getrübt. Mehrhundertjährige religiöse Erziehung hatte die europäischen Christen gelehrt, in dem Juden einen Volksgenossen des Stifters der christlichen Religion zu sehen. Hochherzige deutsche Künstler und Dichter hatten ihre Idealvorstellungen in die biblischen Gestalten der hebräischen Stammesgeschichte hineingelegt. Ausgerechnet dieser Abraham, Isaak und Jakob galten als Träger einer besonders hohen Moral und als Idealbilder edelsten Menschentums. Wir haben inzwischen sehen gelernt und wissen jetzt, dass die Hebräer der biblischen Geschichte so nicht ausgesehen haben können. Wir müssen unser Geschichtsbild korrigieren.
And he called, what did he say? He said, hence the film concludes the Jew is a bastard. And he got the big long-nosed Jew with the word bastard right there written in his film. It's supposed to be anti-Semitic. You understand? The front of the book right here, this is about Adolf Hitler. Give me Revelations 3 and 9. I just want one scripture.